And we're also recording. So trying to get my guest on. Let me just get him on. Bear patient with me. Okay. He's having a hard time getting on, but we're gonna get him on very soon. And then we're gonna jump right in because it's already 10 minutes past and we're gonna get on. All right, here up. All right. Oh no, let me see. Send that. One second. Okay. He should be receiving it. He's trying to get in at the moment, but we're gonna get started soon. Let me make sure. All right, got it. You get it? Yeah, I'm just trying to communicate with them to help them expedite their them getting on. But we're gonna get it. It gets a little uh complicated when you're dealing with technology and different generations. Communication kind of break down, but we just gotta be patient with one another and you know be more understanding, overstanding, understanding with one another, and we're gonna get it. We're gonna continue. Everything is gonna be fine. Yeah. So as he basically try to get in, I'm just gonna go ahead and just update everyone real quickly while we wait. Um, our platform Truth Reveal campaign has officially hit the 17.5K. So we are inching to 20,000, and I think we're going to get that very soon. Okay, so we're gonna get there very very soon. So okay, yeah, it's becoming a little. They're a little. I guess like the technology can get a little challenging for like I said the racial gap. So I have to try to. Oh, it's working. Okay, perfect. Okay, all right, perfect. So all right.
We on?
Yeah, there it is. Yes. Hey, Ryan.
Okay. All
Um,
right. Sorry about that.
yeah, no, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Nah, no problem. Okay, good. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just get started. We're gonna jump right in. As I've been trying to tell everybody for the longest time, I've had such a great just life up and down, but it's been great. And one of the people I have to like give a lot of credit to, just within my bodybuilding career, my bodybuilding life, my fitness life is the person you're seeing right in front of me. This series that I started is actually a series I call Stars in My Life. I decided to start this series because people don't know, but I've met many stars in my life. Like the celebrities you guys see every day on TV that you guys wish that you could be next to. I'm talking about back in like the late 90s. I can go down the list. And there's no other star that is more important to me than this guy right here, than Officer Ron Howell. If it wasn't for Ron, I would not have gone and done the things I did in bodybuilding. So anybody that follows my bodybuilding career and know about my bodybuilding career, it was because of him. But this is not about me today. It's about him. I'm starting this series because I'm getting tired of our everyday people um, focusing more on the so-called celebrities. Don't get me wrong. There are celebrities out there who are doing great things for the community and for the world. And I give them props. I give them serious love and respect. But there are many of them who are misleading the community. While a lot of our everyday folks are looking up to them, admiring them, wishing to be like them, wishing to be next to them, but the people that they are interacting with literally every day, people that they are going to school with every day, who they live with every day, who provide the food for them every day, who provide the clothing, the roof over their head. They look past them and barely acknowledge them. The people in the school who try to help you avoid, you know, the traps that can keep you away from moving forward in your life. You look past them, you look straight to the celebrity. So today, I'm trying to make sure people understand the celebrity is not just the celebrities you see out there on the TV. It's a celebrity you see every day in your life. And today, this individual, this man, is that celebrity in my life, that star in my life that I want to recognize and give him his flower because I know too many of us focus on liking and loving and caring about people after they're no longer here in the world. They want to pretend and say, oh, no, no. While people are living, while they are breathing, while they are alive and well, show them, appreciate them, love them, because they're not gonna know that after they're not here. Like they're gonna know it in the casket, like, oh, they love me, they care for me. No. So tell them right now, let them know right now. And I'm letting Ron know because he practically know all of my past life up from high school at least up to adulthood. So, Ron, I'm gonna just have a series of questions I'm gonna ask you. But before I get into this question, I just want you to just let the people know who you are. Give me a background of where did you come from, where are you originally from, who are you, and how long you've been just living in Ohio.
Born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, 1964. I'll be turning 62 April 23rd, this Thursday. I graduated from Marion Franklin High School in 1982. And then I went to the Army January of 83, served 3 years over in Germany and in Georgia. Um, Got out of the military, and I was planning on staying in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm a mama's boy, so I had to come home. And I applied for the fire department before I applied for the police department. And somebody filed a lawsuit, and they put a hold on the hiring process for the fire department. And the police department came through first, and became a police officer in 1987 and retired in 2015. So um, that's about it.
Wow, wow, that is awesome. I know we've been knowing each other for I don't even know why, like past 30 years, like literally. Am I correct?
Yeah, somewhere around there. Well,
I
now
know,
to
right?
at the moment, but yeah, since you
Yeah,
were in high school.
Yeah, and I want you to walk us through that. Like walk us through that moment if you remember like the first day you met me in high school and even like how did we even meet each other? How did that happen? Do you remember? I know how it
Well,
happened, but I
yeah,
want to
I
see what
was
you
when I was into bodybuilding, and I was trying to become a professional bodybuilder in the natural organizations, and I was working narcotics on a tactical team, and it was just getting too busy for me to concentrate on bodybuilding. So I wanted to find an assignment on the police department that gave me steady hours where I
Mm,
wouldn't have to miss meals and miss training like I was when I was on the narcotics tactical team. So I got into bodybuilding. Um, the school unit came open, and to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't want to work with kids. I just wanted the hours,
mm,
that the school unit offered, so I can get more involved in my bodybuilding. But once I got involved
mhm,
with the students, because I thought all knuckleheads, juveniles, teenagers, just knuckleheads. I'm gonna go ahead and work these hours, 7 to 3,
mhm,
and eat while I'm at the school and all that good stuff to help me with my bodybuilding career. But I got involved with the students, and you guys started to change my mind
mhm,
about you know teenagers.
mhm,
And because before I started working at Walnut Ridge, I was
mhm,
told that it was one of the worst schools in the city.
mhm.
And, getting involved with the football team and just about anything that I can get involved, trying to get involved with all the kids.
Yeah.
Uh, and it started to change my perspective. And I think I started to change the mindset of students towards
Mhm,
police officers.
mhm.
Um, I was
Yeah,
firm, but I was fair, and I tried to
absolutely.
treat, and I tried to treat you guys like you were my own kids.
Yes.
Um,
I can attest to that.
so, so being involved and getting into, the football team as the year go on, basketball team, cheerleading, you know, all the I don't know, um, the nerdy kids as well,
Mhm,
stuff that they got involved in, So I'm trying to support. So when it came to you,
mhm.
I go to the weight
Plenty.
room, to see what I can do and help out in the weight room with the football team. And I see you. And like I said, I was already into bodybuilding. And I'm like, man, this kid got it going on physique wise, and I'm thinking, he could be a good bodybuilder. And so that's when I approach you and start talking to you about it. And you was kind of, you know, didn't know exactly what I was talking about at first. And, I'm like, you was looking at me like I was kind of a little crazy, but I talked you into it, and you agreed. And, we started working out together a little bit. And I'm trying to pass, this bodybuilding knowledge on to you that I learned from, people that I was training with you know, uh, guy named Mark O'Hara, um, Mike Taylor, Mark Miller, Mark Mabry, Nick Bowman, Mickey Tate, all old school dudes, that taught me how to train and eat.
Mm.
So I'm trying to pass that knowledge on to you. Like I said, when I seen you in the gym, I'm like, okay, this dude can compete,
Yeah.
so and the rest is history. Um, you decided to compete, and you won, first time out, against grown men, you know, and, and I got to the point where, you better than me, you know, so, and that's the way it was.
Man, wow, you have great memory, man. And I remember actually competing. with I think a friend, I don't know, one of the competitor of yours, and I would never forget the story. You was like, yeah, I remember that guy. Yeah, that's the guy that beat me. You know what? You beat him. I was like, oh wow, I beat the man. That's good. He's like, yeah, good job. I would never forget that because I was like, oh, I was able to do something for him because you said you always wanted to get that guy, and I was able to get him, and you were so happy. I remember that.
Yeah. I mean, you of course I had, I had to go meet your dad, and I met, the rest of your family.
Yes,
And because, I wanted to take you to compete in different shows.
yes,
And, you would come to my house and, we would work on your posing
yes,
and, work on posing, anywhere we could.
yes,
Uh, and, at the time I was married and Sharon would, come to the shows with us and help out and all that. And you would, you would make some of your food,
yeah.
from your country.
Wow,
And
you
I
giving
would
me some
try.
memories. Wow, okay. Some cassava leaf, probably some fufu and soup. Yeah.
I can't remember the name of everything, but you made me food.
So I've been cooking since the 90s. Wow, I forgot that.
Yeah,
Wow. That's true
yeah,
because you were one of the main individuals who reminded me of having to cook your food, having your meals prepared, having your meals always ready. And
yeah,
so that got me into to that. And you, along with so many other people I've shared so much knowledge with, that reminded me over and over, hey, this is what you got to do if you want to be that champion. You got to be prepared. You got to be ready because you never know when that time is, and you want to be ready. And I followed you guys. Every command, every command. And as you know, I ended up in Hollywood, Ghost Gem, with Charles Glass and Robert Sherman and all the greats over there. And a lot of the details of that reality will be in the book that I told you I've written, and it's already ready. It's just that I need to make sure it's prepared on a high level before I release it, but it details a lot of stuff that I had to go through in that industry. But at the time when I was at Ridge and with you guys, with all my Ridge family, the teachers, Mr. Jackson, Mrs. Wright, Mrs. Allison. I mean, wow, I can go down the line. Coach Carter, Coach Heffley. I mean, we could go. It's so many people. Um, there was like a community. Like I literally felt that the Ridge was like my family. Everybody. I'm talking about. I don't care. We had probably one of the most diverse schools, I think, in
yeah, yeah.
Columbus at the time, if I'm not mistaken. We had
It seemed
everybody.
that way.
Yeah, every nationality. I don't think we missed anybody. I mean, we knew everybody. It was awesome. It was one of the best experiences ever. And I would never forget that experience because I thought that's how the world was. I mean, outside of Liberia, West Africa, I thought the world was like rich, with this family of so many diverse backgrounds of people. We all come together, we figure things out. So, it's just so strange, living, obviously 30 years later to see and experience what we're going through now and how and what's happening. It's just so interesting. But I want to continue with the questions because I think these questions for my listeners, my viewers, and like I was telling you, I have over literally 17,000 and counting, and they're growing. I'll say one thing is really strange. I have long content, but people don't really care in this new age. I notice about long content. This new age, what I find out is they like the short clips, Ronnie.
Mhm.
So short clips is the way to go now. Even if there is long content, only certain people like long content, but the majority of people in this age, they love short content. So
Mhm.
now I have learned the game to where I have taken my long content that I've created for years that's been sitting around, and I've created now short content for whatever reason. It's now gotten a whole bunch of attention. So, like I said, over 17,000 people are tuned in, and they are very curious, and they want to know about my truth and the truth that I'm willing to, share with the world of what I've learned, what I've studied. not only here in America, but what I learned back home in Liberia, and I want to share it with the world. So it's a very great opportunity to have you on here with me. To be honest, I appreciate you just making that time because now we're connecting two worlds. We're connecting the world before, and now we're connecting the world now. And
Hmm.
that technology is what it's kind of like what's bridging everything. Um, because if I didn't have some of those old school tapes that we used to have, those mini DVs or even the big ones, to even have it, to even use it, to convert it to what I can use now and put it up and upload it on the cloud or wherever. I
Hmm.
mean, we won't know what happened back then. Just think about that, right?
Yeah.
And all of the people who are using technology are still able to connect to the past. And that's how we connect the past. We bring the past to the future. And we can hold it and can manipulate it, obviously, with the long content, short content form, and all that. But that's part of the new age. So I want to know from you, based on what you know, what you've learned from, because you know a lot, you learn a lot, and I learn a lot because I'm still living. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, I ain't think I'll be here. I'm 44 years old, man. I did not think, 20, 30 years later, I'll be here. I'm not capping with you. I just know the reality I come from and know the reality that I have to deal with. And
Hmm.
that's a whole different topic. But I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. I give thanks because I know a lot of my guys, the guys I went to school with. I'm sure you even know people that probably wasn't able to be here right now to tell their story. So
Yeah.
I'm really appreciative of that. I really want to make sure my audience and the folks who are listening are hearing this. Um, don't give up. You know, find strong mentors like Ron that I had. I was so blessed to have somebody like this. They're there. They're there. It's not going to be easy, but I want to encourage folks. You have those people amongst you. If you're looking, they're right there, and you just gotta listen. You just gotta be patient. You gotta be patient. You gotta know how to collaborate with one another. Because think about it. Ron and I are two different ages. But I figured out there's something that's again connecting the past and the present and the future. Ron had information, the DNA, the knowledge that I needed in order for me to get to the next step. Had I not listened to him when he was giving me that information, just think about what would I what would have happened. Think about it. I know I would have gotten as far as I've gotten, but I did take his knowledge, his information, applied it. Consistency and intention. I'm here acknowledging him, giving him thanks, sharing with him, giving him his flowers because he deserved it, because he gave me a
Appreciate it.
blueprint. Yes, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you're still here with us so you can hear me say that. And I know I'm not the only one because a lot of other folks that I know I went to school with, they all feel and share my same sentiments. I know they do.
Mm.
So I just want you to know that. And I'm going to move forward because I'm excited you're here. I'm so happy you're here. And I know you grace us with your time. And I want to make good use of your time and my viewers' time. So I'm going to go to the question I had for you as we continue, because I want this energy to be also natural, organic, but I want you to tell the audience certain things that they should know. Um,
Okay.
before we really get into the impact that you made or you had on me or even the community, I want them to know, how would you describe the man you were at the time, like when I first met you? Like, what was that representation that you basically, you showed, you represented to the rest of the people at Ridge or people around you, even your children? Well, how did they see you?
Um, well, back then, I mean, I'm pretty much the same now, I think, just
I think
grown a
so
little,
too.
I've was always the protector and, try to be a provider and make sure, you're doing the right thing. Um, especially with my kids, like with Cameron and Steven, I always told them, when they're doing something, to do their best and do it right the first time. That way you don't have to go back and repeat it. A lesson that I learned when I was in the military. And so I tried to just, pass on what I had to the students at Walnut Ridge and later at Marion Franklin when I went to Marion Franklin, just to be a positive, figure, role model.
Yeah.
Even though I was a police officer and still had a job to do.
Yeah.
So it was just, I mean, I was learning from you guys as much as I was, trying to keep you guys straight, on the right path. Most of, when I heard about, Walnut Ridge being, one of the worst schools.
The worst, yeah.
Well, I found out that's not true.
As you saw, I came from there. I was there. Woo woo. There you
There was a
are.
ton of great kids that
Awesome
come out
people,
of
man.
Walnut
Awesome.
Ridge, Marion Frank public schools, period.
Period.
It's just that small percentage of kids that will make a whole school look bad. Just like there's a small percentage of police officers that make us all look bad. So it was just trying to, keep you guys, in line so you can succeed, beyond what you're expected to be.
Yeah.
And, and like when I said, when I went into the weight room to help out, I can't remember if you was a part of the football team at that point or not.
Yes, actually, I was. I literally became part of the team through being a kicker, a soccer uh, player, but was a field goal kicker. That's how I was on the
Right.
team. That's why I was in the weight room. Because they
Yeah.
told me I need to, if I want to play real football outside of kicking, I got to get stronger
And
and
you had that
explosive.
drive.
Yeah, and I
You
had
had
that
that
drive.
drive.
Yes,
You had that mindset to be the best.
yes,
Even on the football field,
yes,
you was one of the smallest guys out there, but you
yes,
were always in beast mode.
yes. Thank you, thank you. That's another lesson for folks. Don't look at the size of any person. Don't do it. Don't underestimate another person based on the look. You'll get fooled all the
Yeah.
time. All the time. Make sure you steady in the heart and the mind. Those are the two places you focus. That heart and that mind. Otherwise, you're wasting your time.
I mean,
So yeah.
you took over from Keith Mitchell and Gary Russell.
Oh man.
I don't think a lot of people expected it.
Nobody did.
Yeah.
Nobody. And guess what, Ron? That's why I call my production company Expect the Unexpected Production. Because throughout my life, there are so many unexpected things that have happened that not even me could have, you know, say, yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. No, I just was living. I was just doing what I felt I needed to in order to get to the next level, the next step, and using the tools that I had, people like yourself and other mentors that I utilized within my community. And I didn't just, seclude myself. I love seclusion, don't get me wrong. But I love also including the community that are good intention,
Mhm.
and you were one of those people. And I say that because in this time to find human beings, people, neighbors is very difficult, unfortunately. And sometimes I wonder what are we missing now? Would you say that we had back then that we, if we could have that now, it would be useful? What would you say? What back then that we could use now that could be useful?
Say that again.
So I'm curious to know, like, the times that we're in, the way things are going, and how difficult things are. It's not new, right? It's not new for us dealing with difficulties. But back then, there were certain ways that we dealt with difficulties and hardships as a society, as a community. Um, or do you think there was anything back then that we could use now to help diffuse or make things better? Or do you think there was ever anything back then that we had that was, useful, that we used, or what do you think about that?
Well, I think back then and beyond,
Hmm.
there was there was a little more respect, and the village was allowed to parent more
Mm-hmm.
back then and beyond than
Hmm.
today.
Okay.
You know, um,
And what would you say? How so? Like, well, give me some examples because I know I'm a father now, right? So there's certain things I have to reconsider or you literally think twice about before introducing it to my child for punishment or just to redirect them or whatever. So
well,
what would you say? Any specific
I'll start with respect. You
respect?
know,
Okay.
teaching yes and no, yes
Hmm.
sir, no sir, yes ma'am.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
Mister,
Hmm.
Mrs. or
Hmm.
Miss. You know,
Hmm.
that's gone now.
Hmm.
You know, people. I got neighborhood kids where I live at now. You
Hmm.
know, when they stand in front of my house to catch the bus in the morning,
Hmm.
and from my neighbor kids, they know my name, and it's like, "Hi, Ron." It's like I had to correct them. You
Hmm.
know,
Mr. Rock.
it's Mr. Ron. You know, and I learned that from my mom. You
Yeah.
know, when my mom, when my mom would go to the hospital and she's
Hmm.
in the hospital or somewhere,
Hmm.
and a nurse or somebody would call her by her first name, she
Yeah.
would say, "Baby, I'm older than you. I'm an elder. You know,
Hmm. Yeah.
it's Miss or
Hmm.
Mrs. Mary or her last name.
It's true though.
Um,
That's true. I did have to.
so and that's gone.
Yeah.
And back then and beyond, you know, you could you could correct a neighbor kid, when they're out doing something wrong. Just like,
Hmm.
if I'm a school resource now, different setting in the school, if I
Hmm.
see a kid cutting class or whatever, okay, I'll get the class, do the
Hmm.
right or smoking or whatever,
Hmm.
put the cigarette out, get the class, get to where you're supposed to go. But
Hmm.
in the neighborhood now or anywhere, you
Yeah.
know, you go to correct a kid nowadays,
Yeah.
it's
You
like,
don't even.
you can't correct them. The parents are going to say something to you. They're smart mouth. So
Mm.
people don't get involved as they do today as back then,
Mm.
uh, because they don't want, the smoke that would come with it now,
I got you.
behind it.
Mm.
And that's what's missing a lot today.
Mm. Hmm.
And I'm not talking just in the black community. I'm talking
Hmm.
about
Yes.
in
Worldwide.
general,
Mm.
period. You
Hmm.
got you got men, when they're talking to women,
Hmm.
it's bro, and I know it's not a disrespect thing.
Hmm.
It's just the way it is now.
Hmm.
Um, everybody's bro. You
Hmm.
after I left the police department when I was working part time at a gym, young kids are coming in, and I'm bro. I'm like, no, I'm not bro.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm
No, that's
sir.
fine. I know what you mean. Hmm.
I'm grown. I'm a 50 something year old man. I'm 60 now, but I'm
Hmm.
50 something years old. You're 20. I'm not bro.
Hmm. No, I
I'm
feel
sir
you.
or Mister. My name.
Hmm. Hmm.
And a lot of that is gone now. You know,
Hmm.
um, I'll be 62 in a few days.
Hmm.
If I see, the one football coach that I see quite a bit
Hmm.
to this day, he's still a coach. You know,
Hmm.
um, anybody, pretty much older than me. I go to
Hmm.
church. It's
Hmm.
Mister, or Mrs.
Hmm.
Either their
Hmm.
first name or their last name. Um, and that's gone now, you know.
So let me
Um,
let me ask you this, Ron. What would you say? What do you think is the corporate of that discourse or that you know friction that's you feel like this happened or is not there? What do you think happened? That's why that's going on. Do you think there's anything that's happened? Because I feel there has to be something that because what happened? What changed?
you
Between
know,
that time. What would you say?
I don't even know how to answer that. The only thing that I can figure it's just not happening in the home. It's not being taught,
Mm,
in the home.
mm,
Uh, and it has nothing to do with a father not being in
mm,
the home or a mother
mm,
not or two-parent home or anything
mm,
like that. Because there's kids that come from a one-parent home
mm,
and they are great, successful people. There's
mm,
people that come from a two-parent home
mm.
that ain't worth a dime.
That's true.
You Um, so it's I think it starts in the home, but at some point it's a choice that
Mm,
people make. You know,
mm,
at a certain age, you know from right from wrong from an early age, and as you get older, you know more about what's right and what's wrong. But
yeah,
it's
very
just
true.
with I think
Hmm.
um, a lot of things that happened back then or went on back then.
Hmm.
It still happens today,
No, I
for the
definitely agree.
most part. There's still a whole lot of people out there with respect,
Yeah.
um, and with, towards their elders. Um, but a lot of it has gone. Even, when I was working at Walnut Ridge and Marion Franklin, there was things, that I would hear in the hallways that
Hmm.
like, okay, we never did that, when we were in school.
Yeah.
We cussed in school, but we didn't cuss around,
Yeah,
you
no, I know
know,
what you mean. Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah, they call that
everything,
respectability politics, like in this current times, like more, it's like this, the new age don't really feel like they owe any of the generation before any type of explanation for whatever reason it is. And if we try to even try to make the argument with them, that we're wasting our time because they're not even gonna listen.
yeah,
So, so I just make sure I'm doing what I know I'm supposed to do and hopefully set a good example and that they will follow and get good results. Because I'm not gonna try to either have a argument with that or even debate because it's like we know, like you said, we both know in order for us to get certain places there's certain things we have to do in order to get to where we are. And a lot of
yeah.
people will never know the steps that once had to take to make things happen. So until they have to like learn it the hard way. And unfortunately, the hard way is not the best way to learn some things. So
So,
I definitely hear you. Yeah.
back then, I tried to do what I can as far as, when kids got out of pocket back then,
Yeah.
you know, I would talk to them. I'm not going, just beat you down because I'm an
No,
authority figure.
no.
I'm gonna treat you with respect. I'm gonna treat you the way I expect to be treated,
And that's what I
and I'm gonna
respected
try
about you.
and you know
That's what I
teach
respected about you.
how to respect people and talk to people in a decent manner, you
Hmm.
know, um, because you never know when you're out in public
Hmm.
who's watching you,
Never.
where it may affect your future.
Yeah.
You could be acting a fool somewhere, and 5 years later, you could be applying for a job, and that somebody you're applying to, they might remember that time, when you were 5 years younger and you was acting a fool, you
Right.
know.
Right.
So, that's what I tried to teach,
Yeah.
or at least pass on. Um, So yeah.
No, that's
Uh,
a great point. Leading into the next question, actually, that's a great point. I want to know, okay, I'm gonna keep you going. What made you take an interest in me specifically when you did, you know, when you didn't have to, when I know you didn't have to, what made you like say, hey man, besides knowing that, okay, was there something that what was it,
well, I wanted to see people succeed,
Mm,
especially us. I
mm,
didn't want. I didn't. I was tired of the stereotypes.
mm,
That we are the bad people.
mm-hmm,
Um, and that stigma of Walnut Ridge being the worst school. No, you know, even when things were. I'll give you an example
okay.
where I want to when I'm trying to break that stigma of us being the bad people all the time.
Mm-hmm,
Um, and actually, that's why the school resource officer program started
mm,
because public, Columbus public,
yeah.
predominantly black, we're out of control. Uh,
Mm,
and but like I said, when I took the job, I took it for my own personal reasons,
yeah.
not to deal with kids, so to speak. But the more I got involved, the more I cared, and you guys changed me, and
Mm,
then I want to do the same for you guys.
yeah. Okay.
Um, and
So
got a
it
lot
sounded like a
of
generosity. It was just something like you say, deep down, you just wanted us to be successful, or you wanted to be a part of that engine of
yeah,
success. Because that's what I
um,
felt. I felt like you were part of that community that just wanted to see us succeed. Just do well. Just do well. Just go out
yeah,
there and represent us right. That's it. And
yeah,
and and that's why I took it. I took it to heart because that's how I carried myself. I literally, based on how I was received by you all and how you all interacted with me. I just knew you guys were of a high crop of people, of a high quality of beings, and I love that. And I say, if I'm gonna go out into this world, whoever I'm going to be, whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to do it at the highest level because the people I come from, the people who I interacted with, who knows me, and I can't leave and behave otherwise. So I did my best to stay within, like we say, in order. Stay in order. Just know where you come from, know yourself, and represent where you come from in a positive way. You know.
yeah. And that's what I was trying to pass on because we get the bad rap all the time. And it was no tolerance. That was the rule when working in the schools. If they did this, did that, it's jail. No, it's jail.
I
It's jail. Well, that's not the.
It's not the
I
answer.
learned that's not the way it's supposed to be. It's
Yes.
They weren't doing that in the suburb schools.
Fact.
They weren't doing that.
Fact.
Kids are going to fight. Kids have always fought in school and this and that. Mutual fight, no problem. Let the school handle it. I had to learn that.
Mhm.
Because I had that mindset, no tolerance. You fight, you go to jail. But I had to break out of that cycle when I learned that you know this is not good for our kids.
Mhm.
You know, and they certainly don't do this in Pickerington, or you know, Groveport, Whitehall, the
Mhm.
schools outside Upper Arlington, all those schools, they
Mhm.
don't do that.
Mhm.
Uh,
And when you say do that, Ron, I want to be clear. I want to make sure. When you say do that, I'm not clear. What do you mean do that?
they're
Don't
not
do that.
locking kids up.
Oh, not
They're not
locking it.
locking
They locking
kids
the
up.
children. Okay, got you. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay,
They're not
okay,
locking kids up,
okay.
for a simple fight.
The same thing that they're locking children up over in Ridge
Exactly.
for example. Got you.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Um,
Upper Arlington children will do the same thing, go through the same situation, but they ain't getting locked up.
right. Assault different. You go in the cafeteria or whatever, and you just start punching on somebody. Okay,
Mm,
totally different. but you playing a pickup game in the gym during lunch or whatever, and
Yeah.
two people start fighting. Okay, yeah, I get there, I say break it up. It's broke up. Take it to the office. Let school handle it.
Mm.
No need to send somebody to jail behind nothing like
I
that.
love it.
But
I
that's
love it.
that's
Look at
what
that.
they wanted. But I had to get out of that mindset
I
because
know.
you guys taught me differently, and also finding out what's going on in the suburb schools at the
Mm.
same time.
Mm. Deep,
So
man.
um, it's a
Wow.
way of setting us back.
Yes.
Our kids are getting this on their record when
Mm-hmm.
other kids in other districts are doing the same stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but they just getting a suspension or
Speak
in
on
school.
it. Speak on it, Ron. This is why Truth Reveal campaign exists, man. This is the kind of stuff I love to hear about. Wow.
So, I just wanted us to do good, you
Yes.
know.
Yes.
And I know kids are going to be kids. When my first year at Walnut Ridge, um, I was told that, the kids are going to test you,
Mm.
from the officer that I was replacing. And
Mm.
I'm like, okay, well, I ain't no pushover.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the first time I got called to a classroom, I said, okay, I got to set an example to let,
Yeah.
these kids know, I'm not the
Yeah.
one to mess with.
No, you sure were. I'm gonna
But,
attest to that right now before you continue. Let me just be frank with everybody out there right now. Nah, let me tell you, we call him Debo. Okay, we used to call this man Debo. And even he makes Debo Zeus look like tiny, okay? And we
no,
collect the name. No, I'm serious. Back in our time, we saw your arms, bro, because the first time I saw it, I was like, oh my God, oh, hey, no way you gonna mess up against this dude. I said, I don't care how bad you think you are, you better not try that guy. That guy gonna mess you up. That's the only way that's why I stayed around. I don't care. There's nothing, I don't care, bro. You better leave that. Look at that dude arms, man. You know? So no, Ron, you had one of the biggest arms though, straight up. You did. We all used to be like, this dude got a big old arm, man. So I think that was part of it. We were scared as heck of you, but you were so loving and so kind, and you were totally the opposite of what we actually thought of you. Like, damn, this dude about to mess us up. But you was like you said, loving, like a daddy, like just a loving human being, like a father, like just a mentor, just somebody who children in community needs, man. And I really appreciated that from you. So I just want you to know that. I really do.
I appreciate it. And that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
I'm firm. Like the guy with the story I was telling you, I get called to a room and kid didn't want to leave the classroom. I'm like, yo, come on, just leave out the classroom.
Yeah.
And I don't know what, something had happened to him. He was in an accident or whatever, but he had his mouth wired shut and he's running his mouth through his teeth because he can't open
Mm,
his mouth.
mm,
So, I'm telling him to come. He's still sitting in his seat. So I said, okay, I'm going to make an example. So
mm-hmm.
I make a beeline to him. I'm knocking everything out the way. I grab him, pick him up, take him out in the hall, and I set him down. I put him down because I picked him up and carried him out the room.
Mm-hmm.
So I put him down when we get out in the hall. And I said, look, man, I said, all that was unnecessary. I said,
Mm-hmm.
now, all you had to do was get up and walk out the classroom, but you made me embarrass you. I said, so, and it wasn't even worth it, you
Right.
know. And I talked to him, you
Mm-hmm.
know, took him to the office. And after that, he would have conversations with me, no more issues with him or anything. Cheerleaders was in the room. You brung up Debo.
Yeah.
There was some cheerleaders in the room.
Yeah.
They started calling me Diesel. They got me the Walking Ridge T-shirt and put Diesel on the back.
uh,
And I used to wear that until it got holy. I don't have it no more. But I kept hearing, I'm walking down the hall when class is supposed to be in session, and I can hear some yell out, "Oh, here come Debo, here come," and I didn't know they were talking about me. I kept hearing Debo every time, I'm close, and I'm like, okay, who is Debo? So one day in the cafeteria, I'm standing in the cafeteria, And this kid come up to me and he said, "What's up, Debo?" And I looked down at him. I'm like, "Debo?" I said, "You calling me Debo?" He said, "Yeah, that's what the kids call you around here." I'm like, "Why y'all calling me Debo?" "Well, you big and bald headed like to do Fridays." You know, I said, "Yeah, we Fridays." I said, "But Debo's a bully. I ain't no bully." You know? He said, "Yeah, we know, but you handle your business."
Yeah.
He said, "You fair." He said, "But you handle your business, but you cool with everybody."
The fact. You
I'm
said
like,
that.
"Okay." He said, "You cool with that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with Devo." And
Man.
that name stuck since.
Oh,
You know, even after I mean, I still get called Debo to this day. Um, when I left the schools
I
and
told
went
you
to the
you're a
motorcycle
celebrity, man.
meeting,
You're a
you know,
celebrity,
I
bro.
could be downtown writing tickets, and a coda bus will go by, and I hear Debo out the window. I'll be at the airport. You know, some kids that used to go to Walnut Ridge working at the airport. "Hey, Debo," through the airport. I'm like, "Oh, come on." You know? Yeah. So, I tried to, do good by you guys because you guys taught me a lot.
No, you were
Um,
awesome, man. You're great. You're great, bro. And with that, we're gonna continue into our next question. That was awesome.
all right.
I would like to know, like, what moment, where you or did you knew, like, I was either gonna go left or go right? Like, was there any point you saw, hey, Christian, I don't think you want to do that. Do you recall? Do you remember a point where you like had to like step in and reassure me, like, bro, you don't want to go that route?
With you?
Yeah. Was there any
No,
point?
I never had that thought
Okay.
about you.
Okay.
Um, I mean, once I got you hooked in the bodybuilding, I mean, you
Hmm.
were already, you had that drive
Hmm.
to be good,
Hmm.
you know. Um, and so I never thought you were going, stray. Um, there was other few kids that, I thought the same thing, but they ended up, straying away from what I was trying to teach.
Hmm.
But you were there, and beyond. I mean, look at you today, and at the same time, through your journey,
Hmm.
you're trying to, reconnect with your mom and become a citizen,
Hmm.
and all that is double than what other kids have to go through, you
Hmm.
know. Um, but yeah, I never had any concerns about you.
Man, that was beautiful. Thank you. I just wanted to know because I know I'm not going to say I was perfect, but I always want to see what other people thought through their, through their mind, through their eyes when I was younger. Because I always was trying to be perfect, trying to be the best, and I just wanted to make sure it was accurate what I was doing. So you reassured me. So thank you for that. We're going into the next question. We're gonna do about, if you don't mind, just about 15, 20 more minutes, like 'cause a couple more questions I really want to get in. And I'm so fortunate because my queen and my children gave me some quiet time, and so I got some time. So I got a good five more questions left, and I want to make sure we
Okay.
get them out the way. And I know you got to get going, so I'm gonna make it quick. All right. So the next question I wanted to know was like, what do most young men, would you say today, misunderstand about discipline and structure? Because for the way it's the stuff you implemented when I was younger, I followed it, and I don't even know if I argued, I just did it. So when it comes to discipline and structure, I know back then I had no problem with it, but in general. What do you feel young men in this time, how do they treat discipline and structure? Is this something that they stray away from, they run away from, or is this something in this new age they embrace?
I think it is. I think it's a small percentage, um, because I look at, I see what's going on around me sometimes, and like I said, I think it's a small percentage
Mhm.
that people think, structure and discipline and all that is a choice instead of something that you should be doing.
Mhm.
Um, with the internet, phones everywhere, Facebook, social media, you just see more of everything. The same kind of stuff that went on back when you were in high school, same stuff that go on now. The
Mhm.
difference is it's the phones.
Mhm.
It's everything is out there now, for everybody to see, captured on the cell phone, on this camera, on that camera. Wasn't none of that back then. So you have people doing the same things, but it's just more because of that. And it's the same, it's a small percentage. Like I said, that small percentage can make a whole look bad. Kids today and adults, more so than back then,
Mhm.
it's like they don't care about doing the right thing, um, or even thinking about consequences of what they're doing until it's too late. Um, they don't. They think as a child, when a parent tells them to do something, it's a choice. And when they changed the laws back in the day, when it came to discipline,
Mhm.
parents are afraid to discipline their kids because they were afraid of going to jail.
Mhm.
And people are forgetting the difference between discipline and abuse. Because it was easy for a kid to call the police now, say my mom is abusing me or my dad is abusing me. And now the police, their hands are tied because if there's a mark somewhere, then they go to jail.
Mhm.
I had that issue, even in the school. Kid would come to school and say, hey, my dad or whoever, put this mark on me. Well, my first question is, what did you do?
Mhm.
Was this discipline or were they just abusing you? Well, I went somewhere where I was supposed to be. Okay, well, go to class. Now, so I got to explain why I'm not making an arrest. I'm not going to arrest somebody because of this. There's a difference between abuse and discipline. But kids nowadays, they think everything is a choice, um, and doing things on their own time because the lack of discipline is not there like it was back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I said,
Well,
it's a small percentage.
yeah. Thank you for that. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. We're gonna continue. That was some good information. All right. So moving forward, I want to know, do you think the wrong people are being celebrated in today's culture and why? The reason why I asked that question specifically is because even the reason why I even came up with this series, I think I mentioned to you that I started noticing a slew of celebrities that a lot of people look up to, um, misleading, in my opinion, the masses by their behaviors and their antics and the things they do and how they do it. And I told myself, you know what? Why try to keep thinking people need to look up to these people? We need to start looking up to people we really need to look up to, the people who really been there for us and people who are there for us. And that's why I created this. Again, I created this for that. And I want people to remember we ourselves are starred. Every single one of us were born as stars. The only thing is you have to find and discover what your star is. You can be a star in anything, but you got to figure that out by learning and living life and experiencing life and not being scared and afraid of life and not letting nothing hold you back or anyone hold you back from living life.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Ron?
Yeah, yeah. I think as as a child and, growing up, I looked up to athletes, musicians,
Hmm.
and things like that. And that's natural, that's normal.
Yeah.
Um, it gives you dreams of being this or that one day,
Hmm.
but people do it too much,
Yeah.
thinking, because they want things now. They want, they see the money, they see what these stars are
Yeah.
doing, and not understanding what it takes, the whole totality of what it takes to get to where they're at. Um, and it's like when my son, he wanted to, Cameron, he wanted to, play basketball. He wanted to one day be in the NBA. And I'm like, fine, that's a good dream, good goal to have. I wanted to play in the NFL, but you have to have a backup plan, you know, and a lot of people don't understand that, and they're just focused on that one thing because they looking up to the stars, and like I said before, the what changed more so now from back then is these phones, social media, you know, YouTube, TikTok, all this, just pick up a phone and do this in front of the camera, and now you're a star, and that's not the way it is. That's not realistic, especially as you get older,
Hmm.
you know, it's fine to have that mindset when you're a teenager in your early 20s, but you got to have a backup plan,
Facts.
or you'll be 40 years old and you're still bouncing around, and you'll be working until you're 80 years old. Not because you want to, because you have to, you
Yeah.
know, because you didn't put all your coins on being what this star is doing, or that
Mm.
athlete is doing,
Mm.
um,
Ooh. You dropping gem on them.
with even with my kids, Cameron, he wanted to get, tattoo. Like, no, you're not getting tattoos until you get established in what it is that you're gonna do. Now he
Mm.
snuck and got a body tattoo where I couldn't see it, but, but I did, don't get tattoos all over your place when you ain't got no job and you're gonna be looking for something to do, because of these people got them. I had tattoos, but I was out of school doing my thing before I got my first tattoo, when I was in the army.
Mm.
Um, but social media is, people rely on it too much. It's just everything is in your face now.
Yeah.
And people, young folks are just, I can do this, I can do that, which is fine. You got to have goals and dreams,
Yeah.
but don't put all your eggs in one basket. You got to have a backup plan. That when I was in the schools, and kids would come and ask me, about what they should do and this and that, uh, especially kids that didn't want to go to college. Like, I didn't go to college, I went in the army. If you
Hmm.
don't want to go to college, you don't have to go to college to be successful. You
Facts.
know, um, there's trade schools,
Facts.
you can do. There's a lot of people that got college degrees that ain't even working in their field. You know, um, so I think it's important to, you can want to be a singer, athlete, or a movie star or whatever, but don't just idolize these stars and hang on their every word and what they do, because you don't know what they're doing out off that camera.
Facts.
You know, um, so just I tell people, have a backup plan.
Mm.
You don't want to go to college, go to a trade school. Get you a job, um, that is going to have a pension.
Mm.
You
That's
know,
right.
um, so to each their own, but just don't look. to the stars that's on TV for all your answers.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that.
you know,
Awesome.
stop. Talk to people that's lawyers and doctors and teachers and police officers and firefighters. You
Yeah.
know, and don't want that fast money. I got to get this now. Got to have a game plan, and you know people today just got that one track mind and one game plan. And like used to tell my son, okay, you want to be in the NBA. I said, how many NBA teams are there? How
Mm.
many players are on the NBA team?
Mm.
Now, look at the number of colleges and the number of kids that play on a college team. Look at the number of high schools across the country.
Hmm.
You are competing against all of that
Facts.
for one of 12 spots on the NBA team on I don't know
Facts.
how many teams there are now.
It's like a lottery.
Yeah, so that's your goal, that's fine, but have a backup plan. You know, I wanted to be a NFL player. I wanted to play for the Cleveland Browns.
Mm.
I hurt my knee, in
Mm.
high school,
Okay.
So I thought, okay, well, I got to do something else. I ended up going into the Army, then go to college, um, police officer, the rest is history.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. Appreciate that. That was very necessary. I think people need to know that and hear that. Okay, I'm gonna continue. All right. So, in your opinion, I want to know one truth about mentorship that people don't want to hear. Because I know, in my opinion, your mentorship can have a master class. Just your being, the way you were. Like you said, you were not only a teacher, you were actually a student as well while you were interacting with us. And as much as we probably couldn't find a word at the time, we knew that you were just connected, and it was because of your authority. Because you got to remember, back in that time, as you know, our school was one of the worst schools, but it was not us. It was never us. It was never the children. It was the people who are in position of power who failed to do their job. Therefore, it trickled down to the children who then have to make up and figure things out on their own. And they don't have the people who were in power that's supposed to do the job to make sure the students aren't worried. And that was the issue, in my opinion, from what I experienced. So I know it's about the individual, and you as an individual made a tremendous impact for a lot of us people, especially those who went to Ridge and Mary Franklin at the time that we went there between that 98 year and 2003 for Ridge and 2003 until you retired. So I want to remind those folks this: you've been a long-standing community activist, in my opinion. That's how I would brand you, a community activist who really cares about the youth in his community. He wasn't just an officer, wasn't just going around using your power, your authority, because unfortunately, there's a lot of folks walking around with that power and authority and misusing and mishandling. And
Hmm.
I have to say this, you actually gave me the motivation to become a police officer, and inspiration. I was in California. I was going to become a police officer, but it didn't happen. It didn't happen because I was too young at the time. But it was because of you, and it didn't happen because I also realized I, at the time, was so young and things I was experiencing from the same people I was trying to join, I didn't feel it was going to work. But I was
Hmm.
inspired by you because I just like, there's one person that I know that is so different from what I've been taught, not only through the movies, but into real life. And there's
Hmm.
other things that you probably don't even know that that's another story, but we can talk about it later. But my father was actually a victim of police brutality. So it's even more intricate when you get into the nuance of things, because it's like, how does a child who who is whose father is a victim of police brutality then meets a police resource officer? who then ends up literally helping redirect and change this child's trajectory based on their interaction in the gym. Hollywood write that story. How does that happen? You know what I'm saying? Like real life.
Hmm.
How does that happen? So they're not ready for that kind of story. You don't know nothing about that. This is my IP. This is our original IP. And there's so many more to come. But I want to let people know that what it is meant to be will be. So because I didn't become what you inspired me to become, I chose to become the same thing in different ways too. Many people, kind, loving, understanding, graceful, helping, just help random people. You were just a helping random, loving person. That's how I felt. That's what you did for me. So I did the same thing. And that's how I'm always am every day, even to this day. My neighbors, I interact with them. They just, they're like, who are you? I was like, I'm just a human being. I don't have time
Hmm.
to be bickering and fighting with you. We're neighbors. If we're neighbors, we're supposed to be best friends. Because if I'm gone, I need you to watch my house and watch what's going
Right.
on. When you're gone, I'm going to do the same thing to you, neighbor. And that's what I remember. That's what I knew. That's what I've learned when I just because I don't see it every day, people don't want to do that, doesn't mean I'm gonna stop my way of being. So I kept being that way even from the time I departed from you and the rest of my family were very rich. So I just want to let you know that you did your part and thank you for doing your part. All right, and I'm
Appreciate
going to continue. Yes, absolutely. What does it feel like to know you've changed someone's life trajectory, given all that I've said? How do you feel knowing that you've actually, because you've said you met many other folks that you you had impact on them and it just shout your name out just randomly. How does that make you feel? Just knowing through your whole life. This is 30 years of somebody you know that is just testing to you being that pillar in their life. How does that make you feel?
it makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I've done something right.
Yes.
Like, that I've done my purpose, even though I didn't think like that was my purpose. Um, I mean, doesn't take a lot of energy to be kind. It takes more energy to be,
Fact.
mean and nasty to people.
Yes.
Um, you know, I, I think I try a little harder because I've always been told, not always, but a lot, that I look mean all the time. And I'm like, well, that's the only look I got. But I'm not mean. When your size and you look intimidating. I'm like, but I'm not. You know, I'm protective. But I'm a nice person, and I try to treat people the way I expect to be treated. It doesn't take energy to be nice, but it does. It makes me feel like I've done something right when I get things like this from you. When I mean, there's been times where I'm out somewhere doing my thing, and somebody come up to me and say, ask me, did you used to work at Walnut Ridge or did you used to work at Marion Franklin? Because you know, I got the long hair now, and it's a little different look. And I said, yeah, yes, I did. Debo, I'm like, yes, I'm Debo. And, they tell me, if you didn't talk to me like you did, I'd be locked up somewhere or dead, or I'll get, I should have listened to you when I was in high school. And they say, I'm doing better now, and that just warms my heart. Every now and then I'll see something on Facebook where a former student has, given me props for something, and it just warms my heart. Just like I said, it makes me feel like I've done something right. I'm not perfect, don't claim to be. I got flaws just like everybody else. But when things like this happen, it feels like I've done something right.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you should feel great and know that you've done great. All right. Enjoy it. Enjoy that feeling. Enjoy it. You deserve it, man. While you can. Enjoy it. All right. So I'm going to continue right now. If you could speak directly to that younger version of me today, what would you say?
You,
Yeah, the younger version. Going back when we were younger. Right now, would it be the same? Would it be different? What would you say?
I don't think I could say anything different because you've grown into a man, a positive figure that's doing the right thing. You have a wife, you got kids, you got a family, and your success. And I'm not talking about the amount of money that you make or don't make or whatever. You're doing it. So there's nothing really that for me to go back and say different or change. Um, not with you. Um,
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
this
thank you.
this what how we started, and it's like the last time you were here and you competed. You reached out. And I'm like, yeah, no problem. You ready to get back on stage? Let's do it. And it
Yeah,
was up on campus.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so and that's something that I enjoy doing. If and I with bodybuilding, there's
Hmm.
not a lot of people competing like they used to back in the day.
Hmm.
Not here anyway, because I love posing. I love teaching posing. That's how I
Hmm.
met my girl Cassie. Now, she
Yep.
was competing. I was helping another young lady, and she said, "I've got this friend that wants to compete. Can you help her too?" So just I guess I was just doing what I loved to do back then, and like I said, when I saw you, I'm like, this young man can do it, and
Yeah.
you did. Um, so I mean, there's nothing I can tell you any different. You know,
Appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, I concur. I can disagree. You know,
I mean,
I
you
would listen the same way.
yeah, I mean, you've had that drive since I met you. So
Right.
um, and it's not like I had to push it. Like some other students, yeah, you got to push them a little harder.
Yeah.
And stay on them. But it wasn't that way with you.
Mm.
You know, um, and you listened. So I mean,
Coachable. I tell my son all the
yeah,
time, Ron, I say you got to be coachable. When somebody's
yeah,
talking to you, you want to listen and take their instruction and apply what they tell you. And if you
yeah,
don't get it, you don't understand, it's okay to ask them a question. Nobody want to sit
exactly,
there and you telling you something and you're not responding and you don't get it, but you don't want to say nothing. A closed mouth don't
right,
get fed. It said a squeaky wheel gets what? Gets the oil. So, you got to speak.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's very true.
Yeah, yeah. And our final closing question. The money question, right? But this will help close us out. But I want to know, in your opinion, what kind of man, right, should the next generation strive to become? I mean, as we see the examples of what and what not to be in this current age, of all the examples, whether it be what have you. There's so many examples you can pick from. But what would what kind of man do you think the next generation should strive to become?
Just decent. Just be a decent man. You know, be a man. Be protective and take care of yourself first and foremost, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of someone else and look out after somebody else. But just be a genuine, good person. You know, I don't care what your background is. You know, you introduced me to, I call him, you know, my big brother,
Mm.
Walt, brother
Oh,
Walt.
yeah. Yeah.
And we had different backgrounds. The same, we both were bodybuilders, but you know, his background, you know, his background. I'm not going to get into it, but you know, people who know him know his background, and they know my background. And if when you think about it, we should clash.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
But you know, when we met through you, we didn't clash. You know, we were just genuinely kind and human to each other. And he taught me, you know, like I said, that's Big Brother Walt, you know, and
Yeah,
he calls me Brother Ron, you know.
that's right.
Um,
Love.
so it's just you don't have to be mean to people,
Yeah.
you know. So that you know that's about it. It's just you know I was told a long time ago when I got on the police department by my coach
Mm.
to keep things simple, and I've always lived by that. Not just when he said keep it simple, he was talking about report writing. You
Mm.
know, I had one coach that he was a writer. He wanted me to write these long sentences out on something very basic, and I'm
Mhm.
not a writer, you know. But he said, you know, keep it simple. And I've applied that to everything, you know, keep it simple.
Yes.
And that's all you got to do is just, you know, be nice,
Yes.
you know, until you don't, you know, until you can't be nice. You know what I mean? But just be nice. Take care of yourself and other people around you. Um,
Absolutely.
and it just be the best version of you doing the right thing. Um, and don't worry about things. It's easier said than done, but don't worry about things that you have no control over because it ain't gonna matter. You know, you don't have no control over. You can worry about it all you want. It ain't gonna change the outcome. You know,
Fact.
worry about things that you can change. You know, um, but yeah, just that's about it. Just be nice. You know,
Wow. No, no, that wasn't just about it. That was some gems upon gems upon gems, some very powerful, powerful information. So thank you for that. Wow, that was deep. I hope people who are watching paid attention and heard and listened to everything this man, this myth, this legend have just espoused here today. This is information that you're not going to hear anywhere. You're not going to hear it because people don't want to be genuine and real with each other. But here on Truth Reveal campaign and on every other platform that I'm on, I bring nothing but the truth and authentic. And I bring receipts that goes as far as 30 years, as you can see, and even go further. And they're coming. This is the first of the series. I want to give it up to Ron. Thank you so much for being my first of this series. And I'm sure you're gonna be watching some of the others, but you're gonna say, "Hey, I was the person started," like the person that actually started the whole thing, because you were. And
I appreciate it. I
yeah,
appreciate it. And like I said, it warms my heart that somebody's telling me that you know, how much they appreciate what I've done for them, and it just warms my heart that I've done something right.
yes, yes. And I want to encourage everyone that's watching and listening, that's either watching now, watch later, or whenever. You heard it right here. You, loving someone is really simple, really easy. Having to hate, like he said, to love, you don't got to use much energy. What energy you gotta do? It just comes at you.
Yeah,
But to hate, oh my goodness, that thing just does something to you. It takes everything. It takes
yeah,
everything. So, like you say, if it's gonna be what it is, let it be what it is. But don't go around just wanting to feel that way because it's gonna take all your energy. But
yeah.
just love and care for someone, give someone grace, and show them that, hey, it's okay. We're gonna get through this together. We're together, especially living with amongst me, amongst my community. We together. So we're gonna get through this together, work together. So that's what I remember back home. So I want to remember not only back home, but also when I was at Ridge and community at Columbus, that we did work together. And I want to remind everyone who watching, who's listening, who knows that this is what we represent, to keep doing what you got to do. All right. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Ron, is there any final words you'd like to leave the 17 point 400,000 folks that are watching Truth Reveal campaign or that are tuning that you would like to leave with them that they can remember for a while?
Just a shout out to Ridge High and Marion Franklin Red Devils,
Okay. That's
and
right.
just treat people the way you expect to be treated.
That's right.
You know, very simple.
That's
You
right.
know, yeah.
That's right. Well, thank you very much.
And love and appreciate you, and all the rest of the students of Walnut Ridge and Marion Franklin that I've touched their lives in a good way. Um, yeah, that's about it.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, there you have it, folks. Everyone, if you are here tonight and you were able to watch this, that's great. If not, it's okay because guess what? It will be restreamed and you can catch it and watch it anytime. As you know, we in this generation, we like the old school stuff. So we're going to sit back and watch the whole thing, probably do something and enjoy it. But the new people, new age, I'm going to cut it up for y'all. I'm going to do the whole splice in and give you 10 seconds here and there. So just wait for that. You're gonna get that. All right. You're gonna get that. But for my folks who actually like the long form, as you know, I do have another area, YouTube, Super Citizen. Also YouTube for Truth Reveal campaign. They're building, but those links will be in the description and comment below. So feel free to, if you want to have any questions, to send in, text, comment. Let us know what you thought about this episode, and would you like to see more? I do have a long list of other folks that's coming up, and it's going to be some very powerful, powerful testimony and powerful just connection. So hopefully you're here to join and watch later. Until next such time, until another time. This is Truth Reveal campaign and POM-J. We are out. Appreciate you guys. Lon, you've been awesome. Thank you. And I definitely will be talking to you because we have a federation bodybuilding that what you do, you still gonna be in you. So just keep doing that. Because I'm putting things together to make sure we work on another business plan to
All
make sure
right.
what you do, what you love doing, you do, but you make a living at it. That's the next step. But we're gonna talk about that. But thank you everybody. Ron, we'll talk later. Thank you so much,
All right.
everyone. Until such time,
See
live
you.
and let live. Yes.
All right.
All right.
Right on.